All right, back like we never left because we never did leave. You got your boy Love One to Hate One, and your boy Gil is in the building. And we back at y'all with another radio call. You already know when we in the building, we finna cook. And it's looking like we're gonna get William Scull versus Canelo. You guys know how I feel about this fight. I made a video on it. I know a lot of people is gonna try to hate on it and stuff like that, but like I said, if anybody fights William Scull, let's say if Benavidez was still at 168, if he fought William Scull, nobody would have a problem with it. If Caleb Plant fought him, Terrence Crawford fought him, none of these guys will have a problem with that fight. But the bar is set so high for Canelo, it's like I never heard of somebody cherry picking a champion. But that's nor here nor there. My only problem with this fight really is William Scull didn't win his last fight. I thought he lost to Shiskin, got lucky to get a decision, and he's gonna fight Canelo when he really didn't even deserve the fight. I do not feel like he beat Shiskin. It should be Canelo versus Shiskin. But we're here. I'm not mad at Canelo for taking the fight. It's not the fight I want to see out of all the other fights, but it's still a decent fight. Canelo's gonna be two-time undisputed champion at 168. That's what he's going for. And shit, we can get to these other guys, in September or whatever. But of course, I think Canelo's gonna win. William Scull is not a bad fighter. He did show a good jab, good movement, but I think Canelo's gonna fight him. What's your thoughts on it?
I believe, like you said, it's a good fight because it gets Canelo that undisputed again. And you can't blame him for that. You got to fight whoever's the champion. And it might set up something with Shishkin down the line because Shishkin could say, I think I won that fight, so I want to crack at Canelo. So it can help out Canelo in the future, too, because it would give him a fighter again like Shishkin. So I like the fight.
Yeah, hey, that's a good point, though. Like Shishkin, he could just take a stay busy fight and, maybe one of these days we can see a Canelo versus Shishkin. But, I personally feel like, we both got Canelo winning the fight. But just to make things a little interesting, what do you think that, William Scull can do to maybe upset us all?
He's a Cuban fighter. Those Cuban fighters, they're very defensive, and at times they can catch you with them counters, so they could be tricky. And we know that Canelo had trouble with Lara and those tricky fighters, so it could be interesting. You know what I mean? And I mean, ultimately, I think Canelo takes it, but it is more interesting now that you actually look at it. Yeah. Because he, like I said, he's tricky. So it could be something. But I just think Canelo has too much power, he's a counterpuncher. He's waiting for you to make your move. So I think he has too much fire for him. And ultimately, I think he would be undisputed again if they have that fight.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I definitely see that too. I pretty much, I agree with you on that. I pretty much see the same thing. If, he wants some type of success. But the thing about, what's his name? William Scull. He almost got stopped by Shishkin, and Canelo hits way harder than Shishkin. So he's gonna have to have the best fight of his life to even make the fight close or to even pull it off. And I personally feel like Canelo don't even have to have the best fight of his life to pull this off. But I think Canelo, one thing about Canelo, he does kind of fight to the level of his competition sometimes. But this guy is the champion, so I don't think Canelo's going to play with a champion at all. So with that being said, Canelo will be two-time undisputed at 168, and that's my final thoughts on it, man. Any final thoughts, Gil?
I think it could be interesting because the way I look at it is when you go against Canelo, you always try to raise the level of where you're at, and if they do that, I think it could complicate things a little bit and make it a little bit more interesting than what people think. So I think I do like the fight only because it sets up Canelo to get the undisputed belt, But ultimately, I think he wins. You know?
Oh, yep. Most definitely. I think Canelo wins as well. I do feel like, maybe William Scull could come off for the first like 4 to 5 rounds. Not gonna say 5. I said good, maybe 3 to 4 rounds against Canelo. But once Canelo figure him out, and one thing I love Canelo, but one thing I hate about him sometimes, it kind of takes him a while to step on the gas. Sometimes, sometimes he comes out and he starts early, but Canelo's very patient, and I know, it's all patience at the end of the day, but sometimes he'll let like the first 2 or 3 rounds kind of slip away from him, and then he kind of like comes back on the back end. Do you notice that, or do you think it's just a method?
I've noticed that, and it's frustrating. But at times, I think he does that on purpose to get other fighters to come at him and for him to counter. Also, so that also plays a part in it. But I understand what you're saying because it frustrates me. I'm like, whoa, this guy's taking too long to get off, right?
Yeah.
And then when he finally does, it's like, okay, we're all right. He returned to his old self,
Right. That's exactly how we think.
Like you said, he starts off slow, and it does get you kind of nervous.
Yeah, because that's exactly how I'll be thinking. Just like you said just now, it's like, okay, we're back, like we never left, basically. Once he finally settles in. But yeah, I don't. That's one thing I do. I know it's a method to his madness. Don't get me wrong, but a fighter can take advantage of that. I mean, you're just gonna give me the first 3-4 rounds, and they can take advantage of it.
Let's not forget that Terrence Crawford does the same thing too. They always say he's downloading the information and then he's gonna come, but it's the same thing. You're letting rounds slip away. So let's not pretend like other fighters don't do it.
That's
Floyd
a fact.
Used to do it.
Yep.
Floyd used to do it.
Floyd did it too.
Give away the first 2 rounds and then bring it on after. So.
Yep, a lot of the greats that done it. Once you really think about it, not everybody's gonna be Mike Tyson where they're coming out guns blazing in the first 2-3 rounds. So, it's just different styles and stuff like that. But like we say, it's a good fight. I like the fight. Like I said, it's of course not the best fight I want to see from Canelo, but it makes all the sense in the world. And anybody that tries to deny that, they're just hating. Plain and simple. But that's my final thoughts on it, though, man.
Yeah, I agree.